Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Sri Krishna. Dr. Raju and Sri Murthy, let me first of all thank you for giving me this opportunity to come here and share some of my thoughts on Shankaracharya and Bhagavad Gita. I have taken two very difficult subjects and tried to put them together. That shows the level of ignorance I have. First of all, I wanted to tell you why should we talk about Shankaracharya in a business school. I think I should settle this issue first before what I intend to do in terms of Shankaracharya's commentary on Bhagavad Gita and also some issues of Bhagavad Gita and so on. Just yesterday, I was trying to download, in 1910, there was a 20-volume complete works of Adi Shankaracharya was printed in Srirangam by Vani Vilas Press, 20 volumes. I have been looking for it. And one of my students said, sir, I have located it for you, and he sent me an URL. So I went there. The entire 20 volumes was available as a single PDF, 6,633 pages. And I was looking at the website, it was in University of Montreal, somewhere in Canada. It was not available in India. I was actually trying here, but the complete works of Shankaracharya is now available in Montreal, in some archive.org. I could actually download from that. While that be the situation, Adi Shankaracharya was, as you all know, was living between 788 and 821, right? The first question that should cross your mind is, why are we talking about a person who lived 1200 years before? This is a very, very important question I want you to ask. Because in business schools we teach what is called learning from leaders. We used to have a course in IA in Bangalore called Learning from Leaders. So the question is, who are these leaders? Is it the business leaders, or is Adi Shankaracharya also one of them? This is the first question I want you to reflect on, because I have been thinking on this for 25 years. As a student of management, as a teacher of management, and so on. Anyway, I'm not going to tell what you all know about Shankaracharya, which is he propounded the Advaita philosophy, Advaita Siddhanta and all that. I'm not going to talk about that. But I want to tell you that the time when Adi Shankaracharya took avatar in this country was a time in which there was complete chaos in the society. In fact, there was so much of confusion about what is the goal of. In fact, all of us, let me tell you, you may be studying MBA. Tomorrow you may work somewhere, you may become a family man, you will be a part of the society. Irrespective of what you are doing, we all have to answer one question. That question is, what am I supposed to do before I die? I don't think, we can delete this question in MBA curriculum. We may not answer with the operations management and marketing management and so on. But this question can never go. Every one of us must ask, what should I do before I die? I think we all that question. In every one of us, that question is inside. For some of them, it is a little more prominent. For some of them, it is dormant. And Adi Shankaracharya took avatar to centrally address this issue. What is it that we are supposed to do? There were competing ideas about it. People were saying that, it's only the karma kanda which is important, which means you keep doing whatever is the work and you find salvation through work and so on. He, in the name of Advaita philosophy and several institutional mechanisms which he laid here, he re-established rather, I should say, he re-established the concept of Sanatana Dharma. And let me first of all tell you, this Sanatana Dharma, this Vedanta, all these are not subjects for somebody at the age of, there are a lot of misconceptions in Indian society. These are not subjects for you and me. People think these are all for people who have no other job or they're retired and they have nothing else to do. These kind of misconceptions are there. It's not. Adi Shankaracharya, if anybody has really the blessing of going through his work, will understand that he is a profound psychologist. In management terms, let me tell you, he is the most profound psychologist I have come across. Just about 15 days back, I completed a 1-month course on what is called Chatusutri. There are only 4 sutras. It's called Bhamati. Shankaracharya's commentary. I went to the Swamiji and then for 1 month I had a course under him. For once I realized that what a profound psychologist is Adi Shankaracharya. So first of all I want to tell you that we should really understand about some of the greatest personalities. Why should we know about, for example, Krishna, Rama, Shankaracharya, or Jesus, or whatever? The question is, why should we know about these personalities? Today, if you look at the society, youngsters are completely confused. Youngsters, if I have been interacting with a lot of them, I think genuinely they want to know, they have certain questions for which they are looking for answers. They are looking for role models. They are looking for what is the right way to lead the life. Is there something like happiness, what happiness really means? I mean, these are not ordinary questions. Shankaracharya has addressed these questions at its root. I believe what is happiness is a very, very important question. How can we take it away? Happiness is not a salary or a incentive mechanism which we teach. I mean, all these management education is fine. That takes you halfway. There is the other half without which we will not be complete in our life. And that other half is what Adi Shankaracharya's greatest contribution to mankind is. He is a profound psychologist. He has clarified what is it that we need to do in life, what is this meaning of happiness, what is the meaning of having a sense of satisfaction. I think these are very important questions. Who said these are not important questions? These are extremely important questions in life. So we are not able to find answers in management education for these. That does not mean that's the end of the story. Unfortunate part is we all think about it much later. So I am very thankful to Sri Murthy Paramabhuji Acharya for creating these kinds of opportunities, because that is what happened to me when I was studying. At the age of 17, I came across Swamiji's, I heard lectures which started churning my mind. Because the question is, what is happiness? Is it a 5-digit salary or having one more car or one more 30-40 plot? People find it that is not it is. Many of you might know when Alexander the Great died, he said, please put my hands like this in the coffin. Because I want people to know that, at the end of the day, you go empty-handed. There's a German saying which says, the last shirt does not have a pocket. You can't take anything and go. So this clarity is not there. While at a conceptual level, we know this doesn't change your behavior. We need to know in great amount of detail what is the meaning of this statement. Why are people saying that? What is the implication of this statement? What do we do because of this? All these questions are there. So Shankaracharya has in his large number of words, there are about 215 words. Prakarana Grantha, some of them are Stotra, some of them are, Grantha, this Kras Jwal, which is Viveka Chudamani having 580 slokas, is ultimate. It clarifies lots of issues that people are actually asking. So therefore, it is very important for us to know about Avatara Purusha. What is this Avatara Purusha? To me, Adi Shankaracharya is Avatara Purusha. To me, ask, what is this Avatara Purusha? Avatara Purusha has a few attributes. First of all, Avatara Purushas have a very strong purpose. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuktanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami vayage. First time, in Bhagavad Gita, if you read, first 3 chapters, there is no indication that Krishna is actually a Avatara Purusha. The conversation between Arjuna and Krishna was like a cousin. Suddenly in chapter 4, the first shloka of chapter 4 is a complete discontinuity. Krishna says, I told Vivaswan and Manu some thousands and thousands of generations before, I told him this great idea. And then he told Rajarishis, it got corrected. You are my good friend, that's why I will tell you. Then in the 5th shloka, Arjuna asked, Kadam etat bijaniyam tomado proktavan idi. How do I know you are, I thought you were my cousin. How do I know you are telling me something which I don't even understand? So Krishna churns Arjuna's mind. In reply to that, he says, Yada yada idharmase. He says, don't think I am Krishna and your cousin, I am Avatara Purusha. So what is this Avatara Purusha? As in that shloka in Bhagavad Gita, it says, Avatara Purushas come with a singular purpose of restoring dharma. Yada yada dharmasya glanehi bhavati. Completely it gets spoiled. You have to restore it. In fact, in control theory in economics, we teach what is called economic equilibrium. Price, demand, supply, you will have a curve and then you will see that supply is like this, demand is like this, there is a walrus in equilibrium. What is the equilibrium? Yada yada dharmasya glanirvavati, that's a point of stability. So Avatara Purushas are regenerative points to create equilibrium in the society. Please understand that. They have a very strong purpose. They want to restore dharma. Okay? And how does Avatara Purushas manifest? Enormous energy will flow out of them. What Shankaracharya has done in 16 years is unimaginable. Going through the breadth and depth of the length and breadth of this country 4 times, establishing an institution out of which we come and talk today, and those institutions which are avichinna, it never gets disturbed. It goes like this. All Avatara Purushas share this. Enormous energy will flow. That is one way to understand. Another way to understand Avatara Purusha. Avatara Purusha, we just talk to a few people. Buddha talked to a few disciples. Shankaracharya spoke to 4 disciples. So maybe Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya and all these, they are all Avatara Purushas in their own right. At the end of the day, please understand, they talked to a few people. Christ will talk to some 112 disciples, and then after 2000 years, Christianity is still there. They have their own understanding of what it is, which is also existing today. So Shankaracharya created a body of knowledge, established a certain institutional mechanism, clarified a lot of ideas about life and all that, and about it we are talking 1200 years. This is in the case of Avatara Purushas, time flows reverse. In case of us, people know us when we are there. The farther away from our time of birth or death, people forget. In the case of Avatara Purushas, it is a reverse logic. Nobody knows them when they are living. But the farther you go away from their life, their fame and their effort goes even bigger. That's how you have to identify Avatara Purushas. That's why we are talking about Shankaracharya today, and you are all interested in listening to it. So therefore, please first of all understand that there is enormous value in understanding Avatara Purushas. Shankaracharya is undoubtedly an Avatara Purusha. The Mimamsakas were creating such a confusion about what should we do in life. He sorted out in terms of, we call it as Advaita Vedanta, but most importantly, he clarified a purpose of life, a direction in which we should go, in direction in which we should view life around us and so on. Anyway, we'll come to Bhagavad Gita, where I would certainly want to talk about Adi Shankara's introduction, which is a very good piece for an introduction to Bhagavad Gita. What is the issue today? If you look at the society today, we seem to be living in a very interesting world of duality. Let me explain what this duality is. On one side, if I take a board and start writing, on one side I will write things which will look very positive. We have more money, we have more buying power, we have more malls. So more and more malls coming on this road anyway. More car per car. That's what one of the advertisement of a car also is saying. You have more cars, more money, more degrees, more educational standards, more knowledge, more wisdom, I do not know, but more knowledge for sure. So on one hand we have more. Lot of materialistic growth is what we are seeing society today. But there is other side which many are not seeing and many must see. Which is what, so interestingly, the first statement of Adi Shankaracharya's introduction exactly addresses it. That's why I am coming here. What is the other side? India has the dubious distinction in the world of having the largest number of people in the age group of 20 to 30 with diabetes and hypertension. We are the diabetes capital of the world. We are the hypertension capital of the world. I have seen people in software companies at the age of 30 they look like 50, at the age of 40 they look like 70. They are worn out. Why I am using software? Because everybody thinks that is a measure of progress for us to look today. People working software people, I pity for them because they have nothing else in life. Looks like morning to evening you have to only, all the time 24/7 with the phone and mobile and all the time. People saying Europe call, America call, I don't know what this call is. We are looking for divine call actually, but they are looking for America call and Europe call and all that. But anyway, so the question is, what is quality of life? If more money means quality of life? So we live in a world of duality in India today. On one side there are a lot of positive things. On the other side, the quality of life is very bad. It's very deteriorating. This is what is called world of duality. Now, I do not know how Shankaracharya guessed this 2000 years, 1200 years back, Do you know what is his first statement in his introduction to Bhagavad Gita? I want to talk about that for some time. Only then we will really understand what we are talking about. He introduces a concept called Abhyudaya and Nishreyas. This is how his whole commentary starts. He says why he wrote a Bhashya. He has written 6 paragraphs in Sanskrit. He has written why he chose to write a Bhashya for Bhagavad Gita. 6 paragraphs. I will tell in a nutshell. He says, Dvivido hi vedo dharmaha pravritti nivritti lakshanascha jagataha stiti karana. He says, when this world was, first he says how Brahma established the world, the first paragraph is about that. Then he says, when you live in the world, he says there are 2 things that will happen to you. I don't know how he very clearly put these 2 dimensions which I am talking about. He says there is something called pravritti, there is something called nivritti. He says there are 2 lakshanas. In life, you have to, you cannot run away. That's the point he was trying to make. I want to explain this in a little detail. He says there is pravritti and nivritti. And then he says, Praninam sakshat abhyudaya nishreyasa hetuhu. Right? See, we go after 2 things. Abhyudaya is material benefits. Right? In Kathopanishad they say prayas and shreyas. In fact, you should read Upanishads and this Bhagavad Gita and all these. Completely your wisdom will change. Your worldview will change. Let me tell you, none of you will run. I mean, there is again this misconception. If you read Vedanta, you will become good for nothing. I will tell you, I am reading Vedanta for 32 years. I started at the age of 17. I am 49 now. At the age of 32, I started into serious Vedanta. I tell you, I am one of the most productive. Please don't mistake me if I am trying to blow my own trumpet. I am very productive in IIM Bangalore, even in this material world. Material world is in writing paper, researching, writing books. I am much productive than a lot of my colleagues. Why I am saying this? I have not run away from my duties of life. I have got a lot more clarity about duties of life. That's the point I want to make. So, Kathopanishad says prayas and shreyas. So, he said abhyudayaha and nishreyas. He says in life, there are 2 possibilities. One is abhyudaya, materialistic, well-being, benefits, comforts, and so on. And then he says nishreyas, which is the ultimate liberation. You can't be in the chakra of doing things again and again, and then you are in a dead end, coming again and again. So he said these 2 are the 2 things which God created. This is like a snake and ladder game. So you have to make your choice and you have to be very clear. So he says abhyudaya is there, nishreyas is there, and he says over time what is happening is people seem to be losing balance between abhyudaya and nishreyas. What Shankaracharya says, life you will be successful when you have this balance. You should know that shreyas is very important for you, but then when you are in a material world, there are things which you need, of course. Who said you don't need? How do you make this balance? Abhyudaya and nishreyas. How do you make sure that both of them are managed? And there are 2 different things, and one has to understand these 2 different things. So in his introduction says people have lost the balance, so they have got it wrong, and they thought if you do too much of materialistic thing, life will be okay, but then they end up into problems with JC, and therefore Bhagavan said, I will take avatara, and these are all the introductions. He took avatara, he says, I think it's time for me to clarify a little bit. That's why he came. He used Arjuna as a mechanism. And then he said, whatever he said, sage Vyasa has nicely put it in 700 slokas. These are all the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. Now this Abhyudaya and Nishreyas is the central issue in life today. If you just go after materialistic benefit, you will come to me 40 years back, and if I am fortunately living, you will come and say, sir, I have lost it out. I have made enough money, but my heart is not full. See, you youngsters, let me tell you, I have been telling this in IIM Bangalore wherever possible. There is something called heart and something called brain. Right? When you are young, your brain, you think brain power is more important. But that is only abhyudaya. If you want nishreyas, your heart must be full. Nobody said I had a brainy talk. They say I have a heart. We use the word heart in many common parlance without knowing what it means. People do not say brain felt condolences. They say heartfelt condolences. They say I had a hearty talk. Hearty meal. Nobody said brainy meal. Is it not? That's the difference between the word heart and brain. If you do anything from your brain, if your point of doing things is from the brain, you will only build your ego. It is good for nothing. You have to go very old to know it, better know it now. If you do everything with your brain, nothing else, you will be actually not happy. You will find more enemies for you. You are alone in your life, including your wife and children. You will have a problem when you go married and so on. No, I am seriously telling. Whereas if you use heart, it will be full. And that bliss is different. That is, the seat of Nishreyas is heart. The seat of Abhyudaya is brain. So Adi Shankara has actually touched the central chord which we are all facing by saying, if you do not understand the balance between Abhyudaya and Nishreyas, you will be a defeated person. In fact, I give these Gita lectures quite a few times. Some retired person comes and tells me, Professor, I must tell you, I am confessing with you, I have been in a very good position. My heart, I feel I am a defeated person today. Many people feel that. I don't want any of you to feel like that when you become 60. You should feel full. You should feel that I have done my work and let me sleep eternally with a lot of peace. That's not possible if you go after Adi Shankara in great detail. In many of his work, this issue comes. So that he says is the central issue in Bhagavad Gita, and therefore he went on. One of his best commentaries is, of course, all his commentaries are great, but one of the best commentaries is also Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is very easy to read and so on. So therefore, let me take a little time and talk some of the features of Bhagavad Gita, rather than 700 slokas is not by any stretch of imagination touched. But you are all students of management, so let me talk areas where you can easily pick up some interest, but by no stretch of imagination, don't think that's all is available in Bhagavad Gita. There is a lot more available. But before doing that, whenever we look at any ancient Indian wisdom, people like Shankaracharya, Bhagavad Gita, Shrutis, Vedas, and all that, right? It's my own experience. You read anything, there are 3 dimensions to it. Not just one dimension. There are 3 dimensions to it. One dimension is religious dimension. Many of them are religious texts. So you can read with religious fervor. I mean, there is a notion of God and godliness, so one can read and benefit from a religious angle. Many of them have a very strong spiritual angle. All these texts. So far people know. There is also a third angle to every piece. Or in Bhagavad Gita, that is what I find continuously. In Upanishads, I find all the time. There is a third dimension which we will benefit, which is also important, is there is a secular angle to it. What I mean by secular angle is, how do you do your Abhyudaya? Adi Shankara says that there are governing principles by which you can also get your Purusharthas, your Dharma, Artha, and Kama and Moksha can be done in a certain ways. That also you will get out of it. From Bhagavad Gita. Just I gave you an example. Yada yada in Dharmasya, it can be Avatara Purusha, so therefore it is a religious angle. You can say it's God's Avatara and so on. In fact, I use this shloka, and when I talk about control theory, cybernetics and control theory, I say Yada yada in Dharmasya, you say demand supply, I will tell you there is a concept in economics called prisoner's dilemma. This is prisoner's dilemma is expressed in this shloka. The concept is very simple. If one prisoner escapes out of the prison, he has actually a dilemma whether to escape or not. The reason is, if he escapes from the prison, then the chance of the second escaping is higher, because he is now emboldened and looks like he can. Now, if you continue this logic, the chance of all of them coming back inside is higher now, because the state missionary will have a lot of pressure now. So they'll catch hold of all of them and put them in. So this is called prisoner's dilemma. So there is an equilibrium principle. That is exactly the Yada Yada Dharmasya Glanil Bhavati shloka is all about. In fact, there is a shloka in chapter 2, it says, Vasamsi Jirnani Yata Vihaya. Right? It says, just as Jirnani Vastrani Yada Vikaya. If your shirt is torn, nobody sits in one corner and cry. I have not heard anybody doing it. Shirt is torn, you just throw it. And then buy another shirt and then wear it. In the same way, Krishna says, Navani Dehi. Jirnani Deham Yata Vihaya Navani Dehi. Naroparani. He says, human beings do the same thing. If this body is of no use, it just throws it. The soul says, enough, we call it as death. That is our terminology for it. He says, this body is of no use, so I leave it and then go elsewhere. Now, this looks like a very philosophical idea. Is it not? Because it talks about, rebirth and, what is our ultimate goal and so on. I use this shloka to talk about what a person called Joseph Schumpeter in 1950 wrote a paper called Innovation Through Creative Destruction. In the entire change management innovation, this shloka is very important for me. Because if you don't change, discard old things, and that's progression. So birth and death in Indian school of system is a sign of evolution. It is actually a sign of evolution. It is not a bad thing. You are only evolving and going better and so on. So there is a secular angle here. Like this. In fact, in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks, Bhagavad Gita is the one in which Arjuna is not somebody who is sitting in one corner and mercilessly looking at Krishna and all that. There is a very good conversation. There is a question that he asks. He says, Atakkena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichanapi varsneya baladiva niyojita. Every father, every manager, every leader will ask this question. You know what is the question here? He says, Anichanapi varsneya baladiva niyojita. Icha was not that I didn't want to do. I became a victim of situation. Atakkena prayuktaha. Who is actually getting me here? Atakkena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha. Why are people committing blunders and sins in life? It looks as though somebody is baladiva niyojitaha. Somebody with pressure is throwing you into the situation. In management parlance also they talk about victim of situation. See, I am not happy at the office. I come back and shout at my son or daughter, which is wrong. But after some time I feel for it. Oh, why did I do it? The subordinate is called by the boss and shouted. And then after some time the boss says, why did I do it? That kind of questions are there. Questions which are very relevant for today, in which there are very nice explanations available in Bhagavad Gita. Atakkena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha. Like, Anichanapi varsneya baladiva niyojitaha. He asked, that is the 36th sloka. And the chapter ends in chapter 3 with 6 slokas which reply to it from 37 to 42, in which he actually gives why is it happening. It gives a complete anatomy of what psychology goes behind people and so on. So like that there are many things in Bhagavad Gita, but I talk about 2 issues. This is just to sprinkle a little bit of ideas here and there. First of all, I talk about leadership. Because in today's management parlance, people talk about leadership and how do you get leadership and so on. If you read Bhagavad Gita, there are wonderful prescriptions on leadership which are very, very useful to every one of us, because at the end of the day, all of us are leaders in our own right. You don't have to be a CEO to be a leader. Every one of us have a leadership role to play in our life. As the head of the family, I am a leader. How do I lead a very responsible life and a very happy life? Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1 is all about Arjuna pouring all his reluctance to fight the war. And that goes on up to Shloka 9 in chapter 2. In chapter 2, Shloka 10, Sanjaya says, after all these tushlim, he simply sat. Arjuna gave up everything, he simply sat. He didn't even talk anything. Then Krishna replied. From the 11th shloka of chapter 2 is where the real advice starts. 14 shloka, 3 shlokas from there is a great shloka for every one of us. This shloka is, Matras Passastu Kauteya, Sitoshna Sukha Dukkataha, Agamapayino Anityaha Tam Titikshasva Bharata. But there is a great idea of leadership planted here. He says, Matras Passastu Kauteya. All of us have Pancha Tanmatras. And from the Pancha Tanmatras, we get Pancha Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. The eye starts seeing, the ear starts hearing, right? The skin starts feeling, you start tasting, and so on. So Krishna says, as long as your matras active, and when will that not be active? Under 2 conditions. Either you are dead or you are brain dead. If you are brain dead in coma, it will not work, or you should be dead. These are the only 2 occasions when this will not work. Otherwise, Krishna says, please understand, life is all about stimulus will come, keep on coming. You will hear something, people will tell you something. This is what, we teach management in a different way. Krishna says, matras sparsha, as long as it is in sparsha, in touch. As long as these matras in touch with the outside world, what will happen? Sitoshna sukha dukkataha. Sita and Ushna. It will blow hot and cold. Sukha and dukkha. Sometimes, it's not good, sometimes it is very good. Sitoshna sukha dukkataha. It will come. And then Krishna says, Agamapayino. Please understand, you will become a great leader for yourself and for the society if you wish, if you understand these are coming and going. Agamapayino. Anityaha. They are not nitya. They are temporary. They have the habit of coming and going. If you contemplate on this single idea, which is called titiksha, he says, titikshasva bharata. He says, if you develop titiksha, you will become a great leader. that there are 38 places in Bhagavad Gita in which he talked about. So what is the message here? The message is, if you have to lead a peaceful life, let me tell you this. If you want to lead a peaceful life, you have to go beyond the world of duality. I can give you a long list of duality. Good, bad, I like him, I don't like him, this hot, cold, success, failure. There is a huge list of dualities which is in the world. But today, with the Western influence, our complete forgetting these, great works of these people, we are told, right from childhood up to whatever happens, we are told that only good things will happen in life. Nothing else you should expect. In fact, that is why I am concerned. 4 months back, I read the news. One 7th standard girl was sent back from school, Vijayanagara. I read it in the paper. She was sent back from school because she fainted or something. She comes home. The mother is telling the daughter that you are not eating properly. That's why you are not studying well. You are also, this is happening. This girl commits suicide. The number of psychological counselors, the sleeping pills, and 2 years back, PUC result come and one girl goes to utility building and jump. In this society, it is never done. This society's greatest strength is titiksha. Our greatest ancestors have taught us a value called titiksha. Life is a roller coaster ride. And today we have been completely misinformed by the Western ideas here that only good things will happen. No bad things can ever happen. If bad things happen, you have to get into depression. And so you have to go for psychological counseling or sleeping pills or atmahatya. What is all this? Never. You will never be successful in life. In fact, the idea of titiksha in Viveka Chudamani is so beautifully expressed by Shankaracharya, that why this titiksha is a very, very important value in life. So that's what Krishna says. So leadership, if you want leadership, develop titiksha. And what is titiksha? Understand that the world beyond duality is the world to live, not the world of duality. Today what happens in software firms, they reach a mark, they have a party, they print a t-shirt and then there is a party. Once target is missed, 1 week compulsorily all have to go home. So, the methods are all very, very different. And all, business organizations are told, I jokingly use the word called Goli Mardia. Goli is growth over last year. G-O-L-Y. Growth over last year. This is the biggest, we have a very contrived understanding of life, business life, and that gets into professional life because we have no time for Shankaracharya. From morning to evening, we want to only, do these things, and we think life is only that much. I very feel sorry for youngsters. Life is multidimensional. These great leaders have said some fantastic things in life which we have to actually understand. Right? I'll read a few more slokas where this is Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, is what he says in the same chapter. He says, Yahina Vesayam Tete Purusham Purushashaba Samadukka Sukham Dhiram. So Amritatvaya Kalpate. One who is able to see success and failure while it happens with samatva. Saha Amritatvaya Kalpate. He is indeed immortal. He is a dhira. Dhira is not a courageous. The word dhira is used as courageous. It is not courageous. Dhira is the word which has come from the Sanskrit root dhi. Dhi means buddhi. Your ability to discriminate is called dhi. That's why it is called buddhi. If it stops discriminating, it is not buddhi anymore because it is not. Right? So that's why he says, Saha Amritatvaya Kalpate. He says, Yogastha Kur Karmani Sangam Tektva Dhananjaya Siddha Asiddhayoho Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. In 50th sloka in chapter 2 he says, Siddha Asiddhayoho Samo Bhutva. Success and failure both will happen. I think we all must endeavor for success. I am not saying you should not endeavor for success. But when results come, you should be, gracious enough to take what comes out of it. That is not taught anywhere today. Because the Western paradigm is different. They think only good things can happen, so we are all told only to do that. Indian culture is not like that. Titiksha is the first trait of leadership that you need. There are several places. There is one in chapter 14, which I want to really quote because this is very good. Look at this sloka, 38th sloka in chapter 2. It says, Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsesi. Krishna in this chapter puts 3 dualities, 3, opposite things. Look at there is a profound management lesson here. Look at here. He says, Sukha dukkhe same kritva. So there is Sukha and Dukkha, one duality. Another duality. Labha, alabho. So labha and nashta. That's the second duality. Third duality is jaya, ajaya. Success, you win the war or lose the war. So there are three dualities. You win the war or lose the war. Then he says, yuddha yujasva. So look at, there is an activity called yuddha. Look at this shloka. There is an activity called yuddha. In business, we do a lot of activities. Every activity leads to a result. There is no activity without a result. And what is the result here? There is a duality of result. The duality of result is jaya or ajaya. You win or you lose. So in business, in whatever we do, we put effort, then there is an outcome. So this is an outcome. Outcome has duality. Now you have to assess that. You should first evaluate the duality, right? That's why labha and alabha. So jaya means labha, ajaya means alabha or nashta. So every outcome leads to assessment. Again there will be a duality. Please understand, life is like that. Again there is a duality. Then after assessing you get feelings. That's where sukha and dukkha comes. So look at here. So there is a fundamental message Krishna is giving. Activities lead to outcome, which is a duality. When you try to assess the outcome, it is a duality. And the outcome of that assessment is your feeling. That is also a duality. And he says, if you cross these three dualities and then continue to work, you will be a great leader. What better leadership lesson you can ask for than this? Chapter 14. It's a beautiful sloka because I see in every consulting I see this happening. It says, Sukha Dukkha Sama Dukkha Sukha Swastha Sama Loshtashma Kanchanaha Tulya Priya Priyo Dhiraha Tulya Ninda Atma Samstutihi Manapa Manayos Tulyaha Tulya Mitra Aripakshayoho Sarvaramba Parityagi Gunatitaha Sauchyate. He says, when you become man of great character so that you can make a difference to the world, he says several things. He says Sukha Dukkha Sama, which I have already spoken about. You should be able to take Sukha and Dukkha, not get shattered or go to the cloud nine and start making the next set of mistakes. Both you can't do. Then he says, Sama Loshta Ashma Kanchanaha. I give you a bundle of clay, a mass of clay, a mass of stone, and a mass of gold. You should not blink. In fact, the biggest political leadership problem today is they blink between these three. A mass of gold entices them so much, as opposed to a stone or a clay. Sama Loshta Ashma Kanchanaha. A true leader is one who don't get carried away by this. He is likely to make great decisions in life, which will give the greatest amount of welfare to him and to the society. I think you all must endeavor for that. What is in it for me? Shankaracharya says, the biggest governing rule in Abhyudaya, when you make material benefits, you should give up. The entire message in Bhagavad Gita is also that. You should give up what is in it for me completely. And that will make a poor person out of you. You will see it much later in your life. If moment you say what is in it for me is kept a little away, you can create a very different kind of a situation. Because Narayana Murthy said, I will create 2,000 millionaires by 2000. He made 20,000 millionaires because truly he did not look at what is in it for me. If entrepreneurs have done like that, they would have never gone this far that he has gone. Arvind Eye Hospital, I don't know, you discussed this case. This is the greatest case in management literature today. It is spirituality with which he created an empire. He never said, I want 20,000 cataract operations by 2020. He never put that market share. You know what he said, Dr. Venkatasamy? He said, I will restore the precious gift of sight back to people. That was his mission in life. People who have actually taken such missions move this world and then make a huge difference. So that's why Sama Loshta Ashma Kanchanaha. Tulya Priya Apriyo Dhiraha. I like him, I doesn't like him. So therefore my approach to him is different from. They are a poor leader. They are all poor executives in life, even if you look at business life. You can't have that kind of thing. You should have a much different generosity with which you approach decision making in life. Tulya Priyo Apriyaha. He says they are dhira. They are people who use their brain much better. Then he says, Tulya Ninda Atma Samstuti. I have seen it 1,000 times in 1,000 companies. Somebody goes and tells the boss, you are the Chandra, you are the Indra. It's called Atma Samstuti. Right? So he wants some favor out of him. That's all that. Whereas greatest leaders are those who let their subordinates to openly criticize the decision. That's free consulting. Otherwise they have to pay through my nose and get consultant. Because nobody will say that things are going wrong. That's what Krishna is saying here. Tulya Ninda Atma Samstuti is one trait of leadership. Then he says, mana apamanayos tulyaha. How is your temperament? Whether mana or apamana, do you have the same temperament? If you create that, you are a great leader. That's what he says in this shloka. Then he says, tulya mitra aripakshayoho. I have seen in meetings, moment somebody says, the first question the head of the table asks is, he belongs to my group or opposite group? Because that's how I understand this statement itself. They are poor leaders. I have also seen the other leaders. I had the fortune of seeing some greatest leaders in this country. They fit into this description so well. They don't do all this. I think they are much more, their vision is much bigger. Just because he belongs to my camp, whatever he says I will take. Just because he belongs to opposite camp, my understanding itself is flawed. That's what Krishna says. There are very important principles in this shloka. Again, samatva. Samatva is the 8 examples he has given here. So the point is, what is this repeated reference to samatva? Nowhere in leadership literature you will find it. You read modern business management literature, you will never find the need for samatva at all. It's so well articulated. You will never find it. What is this samatva? Why is it important? We are all called warm-blooded animals. It's called homeostasis, right? We instantaneously adjust. That's the meaning. When the temperature changes, our thing changes. The samatva is nothing but psychological homeostasis. Modern literature, modern business consultants have come somewhere closer. You know what they say? I have seen them saying, if you are in a situation where you have to answer count 10. They say count 10. What it means is, when the stimulus is coming, don't give a response. Then you don't have this homeostasis. You have to create a gap between stimulus and response. You will make a better decision. In fact, how do you create a gap? You should think about all this samatva. It is not counting 10. Then you endlessly count 10 and go nowhere. You have to develop these traits in you. It's very, very important that we develop these kinds of traits in us. So I can go on like this. The point I'm trying to, in fact, in chapter 3, chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, one of the other issue which we all face, maybe can I take another 10 minutes? Is that okay? Another 10 minutes? Maybe one more issue I'll talk about, right? See, today one of the biggest thing which I hear from youngsters, people working and so on. One word which I hear very often. Suppose if you have a conversation, you recorded it, and then you classified what words you heard very often. Do you know what is the word which you hear very often in big cities today? It's boring. Boring is the word. I'm not joking, actually. From children going to school, to people working, to students in the RV Institute of Management and IIM, everywhere. Nobody accepts it. It's boring here. Depending upon the age, you can use it in a different way and so on. The word boring. Now, if you take an English dictionary 600 years back, the word boredom was not there. That's what I was told. The first English dictionary written did not have the word boredom. Which is boredom was not there, it looks like. Boredom has come now. Another thing, I lived in the US for 1 year. 1999-2000, I lived there for 1 year. I was stunned by my understanding of this. As soon as I went there, one of my Samskrita friends sent me an email. Mahadevaha, Swagatam Bhoga Bhumi Prati Swagatam. This is the email I got. As soon as I entered, he gave first email he received was in Sanskrit, said, welcome to the world of Bhoga. That's what I went to, Bhoga Bhumi. This is Karma Bhumi. He said, Bhoga Bhumi Prati Swagatam. That's what the email I got. Anyway, in US I had a very strange experience. I worked there for a year in a university, one of the top universities actually. The situation was very strange. Monday and Tuesday, people talk about how was the last weekend. Where did they go? What did they do? They talk about that. Thursday and Friday, they talk about which place to go. Next weekend is coming anyway. So it is only Wednesday, which is, I'm not joking. I mean, as an outsider, it was very stark, I could see. First 2 days, we talk about last weekend, and last 2 days, we talk about next weekend. Fortunately, there is 1 day in between. They do very serious work. That 1 day is very serious. So the point is, this weekend getaway. Now, on Saturday, you can't get out in Bangalore, I'm telling you. You will be stuck. So the trend today is work is boring. So understand the paradigm in which we are living today. Work is drudgery. Work is boring. Whatever is that work. Therefore, we have to do something about it. So we need what is called weekend getaway. This is the Western model which you have planted. Whereas, what Krishna says in chapter 4, 18 sloka and 18 sloka to 24 sloka is a masterpiece to read. He says, Karmani yaha akarmaha pashyet, akarmani cha karma yaha, Sabuddhiman Manushyesu Krishna Karma Krita. It's a beautiful sloka. He says, Karmani Yaha Akarmaha Pashyet. According to the central message in Bhagavad Gita is, work is joy. Now, work is joy for whom, you know? You call the Nobel laureate and ask him. Venkatraman who called, Chandrasekhar, all the Nobel laureates, Edison had 200 failures before he made his innovation. For such people, work was never boring. They never had weekend getaways. Greatest things in this world is done by people who understood this shloka and letter and spirit. That is the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita says, work is joy. Work is not drudgery. Today we are saying work is drudgery because we are coming from a different paradigm. He says, Karmani yaha akarmaha pasye. Akarmani cha karma yaha. Sa buddhiman manushyesu. He says you should be able to, your approach to what you do in life is such that, in fact, in Gauda, I think in the Mundaka Upanishad Karika, there is another nice shloka. He says, Pravrittopi nivrittaha. Nivrittopi pravrittaha. There is a beautiful word. He says, you know who are these greatest people on earth? I mean, whether you are a professor, whether you are executive in a multinational, whether you are a parent, whether you are a researcher, whether you are a Swamiji, all of them. But I have seen all Swamijis are relentless. You have to go very close to the Swamijis and see. Today there is a lot of wrong campaign about Swamijis. I have the greatest pleasure of some 10 Swamijis. Very closely I have observed them. Nobody can match them in their level of energy that they are actually bringing out to the society. That they are like this. So these greatest people who have made a difference to this earth in whatever way, scientific discovery, whatever it is, they are people who actually enjoy work. Work is enjoyment, not drudgery. That's what Krishna says in this shloka, that you should be able to enjoy work, to have that perspective to work. It's a very different thing. Now, is it a very utopian idea? In fact, there are 12 principles after that. This is shloka 18. Shloka 19 to 22, there are 12 principles laid out how to discover joy in work. And if I read those 12 principles, you will say, oh no sir, this won't work. But let me tell you, all of us actually enjoy one work in our life. And it never bores us. Every day we want to do it. You know what it is? It is called deep sleep. In fact, if something is boring, you go to deep sleep. In fact, the greatest Vedantic discussion, actually profound Vedanta, is deep sleep. I tell you, if you bring your, in business organization, put incentive mechanisms, targets and so on, put a 4-hour target to sleep, you'll never sleep. Moment you say, I want to sleep 4 hours, you know what is sound sleep? Sound sleep means, let people make any sound, you will not get up. That's the meaning of sound sleep. Please understand. Sound sleep means that I make a lot of noise, you will not get up. If you get up, it is not a sound sleep. See, we use all these common parlance without understanding the meaning of all these. Right? Now, actually, suppose you say, today I want to have 5 hours sleep. Target. I want to have 5 hours sleep. You go at 10 o'clock, till 3 o'clock in the morning, you will not sleep because you will be very worried, oh, I am not getting sleep. How do I get 5 hours sleep? This is the problem of this target beyond a point. Targets are to be put, then we should have a little freedom of working. That's what Bhagavad Gita says that. And we practice it every day. Every day, the 12 principles, if I read, you will see all of them we practice in every day, and that is why the most healthy and the most wonderful thing, not only for human beings, for animals, for plants, the most enjoyable thing in life, enjoyable true sense I am telling, is a deep sleep. Otherwise, next day you can't do anything. And why? There are all these akarmani, akarma. That's why I never said, no, I've slept for 40 years, every day 8 hours, from tomorrow onwards I'm not sleeping. You can never say that. You have to learn from these simple things. In fact, Shankaracharya's, lots of his discussions, this sleep, he is a great psychologist. The way he argues many things is fantastic. And then he argues in such a profound way that it opens your thinking faculty like anything. I have had a little exposure. God has been kind to me. I have had proper exposure through some very competent people in this country through whom I have had a little exposure. So deep sleep is something which says karmani akarma. You don't see it as a work. The moment you see it as a work, you will not sleep. Deep sleep. And akarmani karma pashyet. That deep sleep is a wonderful work done for you for the next day. Please understand that. So that's one way to understand that. Many other ways of understanding this. So work is drudgery. Bhagavad Gita says no. Karmanyeva adhikaraha ma paleshu kadachana ma karma pala heturbuhu. Beautifully he puts an axioms of work. He says work is enjoyable. In fact, I always ask this question. There is a movie in which a pauper role is there. Let's say, he doesn't have food. That role has to be played. Should you bring Rajinikanth or a pauper? Who will do the acting better? No, pauper will not. Only Rajinikanth will do. You know why? Because Rajinikanth says Karman Eva Adhikaranga Mapalesh. He knows he has food. What is in it for me in terms of the pauper role. For a pauper, he is all the time thinking, will I get food? These fellows told me they will give me 200 rupees. They said they will give me lunch. Will they give me lunch or not? No, genuinely. Will they give lunch or not? What kind of lunch will they give? Is it enough for me? So the acting will go for a toss. You will not be yourself. In fact, Charaka Samhita, all these Indian texts are so wonderful that we are so unfortunate that we have left it. Charaka Samhita, you know what is the definition for swasthya? Swasthya is health, na? You know what is the definition for swasthya? He says, swasmin karmani, swasmin stane, stiyate iti swasthyam. You be yourself. Such a simple definition. You be yourself, you will be healthy. Today we are not ourselves. We try to ape this, ape that.